All India Radio presents Morning News. Good morning, I'm Sunil Verma and with me is Sarabjit Kaur. The headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi says, whenever world faces a problem, India comes forward with a solution, interacts with Indian community in Berlin. Germany commits 10 billion euros to India to achieve climate action targets by 2030. Prime Minister Modi to reach Denmark today on second leg of visit to 3 European countries to hold bilateral meeting with his Danish counterpart, Mette Frederiksen in Copenhagen. President Ramnath Kovind to embark on 4-day visit to Assam and Mizoram from today. Election Commission announces by-election to 3 assembly seats in Odisha, Kerala and Uttarakhand on 31st of May. Eid-ul-Fitr being celebrated across the country today. President, Vice President and Prime Minister extend greetings. In sports, Harshada Sharad Garud scripts history by becoming first Indian to win gold medal at Junior World Weightlifting Championships in Greece. In football, hosts Kerala beat West Bengal in penalty shootout to lift their 7th Santosh Trophy. And curtain comes down on Khelo India University Games this evening in Bengaluru. As our nation celebrates the 75th year of independence, a series of events is being organized by the government as a part of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. To commemorate the occasion as a Jan Utsav, All India Radio News brings its listeners a special quiz on India's freedom movement and its glorious history. Recalling our yesterday's question, which freedom fighter was popularly known as Bihar Vibhuti? The correct answer is Anurag Narayan Sinha. Sinha was an ardent follower of Gandhiji and had led satyagraha movements in Bihar. He was involved in many political movements such as the Civil Disobedience Movement in 1930 and satyagraha in 1940-41. AIR News got an overwhelming response from its listeners across the world, and the one lucky winner of the quiz is Chinmay CS from Kadri, Mangaluru in Dakshin Kannada district in Karnataka.
I listen to the radio news regularly. I feel very proud to be a part of the place belonging to the great freedom fighters like Ullala Rani Abbakka and Karnad Sadashivarao. I salute all the great freedom fighters for their sacrifice. Jai Hind.
And coming to our today's question, which is the 76th of the Amrit Mahotsav quiz in English. Bhogna Deeh village in Jharkhand is associated with which famous rebellion against the British? May I repeat the question? Bhogna Deeh village in Jharkhand is associated with which famous rebellion against the British? Listeners can send their responses to the question over WhatsApp on 8826546262. That is 8826546262, or through email on amritmahotsavquiz@prasarbharati.gov.in. Amrit Mahotsav quiz @prasarbharati.gov.in. One lucky participant will be selected as a winner and will be announced in tomorrow's morning news. Winner will be awarded a certificate and a token prize. And now the news in detail. Prime Minister Narendra Modi said that whenever the world faces a problem, India comes forward with a solution. He called it the strength of new India. Interacting with Indian community at Berlin in Germany last night, Mr. Modi said, there is a need to follow the mantra of minimum government and maximum governance. He stressed that a country progresses when people of the nation proactively work towards developing it. He also stated that he is reducing burden of government and letting people give direction to new India. Prime Minister Modi reached Germany yesterday on the first leg of his visit to 3 European nations. Addressing the Indian diaspora, Mr. Modi said, political will is needed for reform. He highlighted that from 200 to 400 startups 8 years ago, India today has 68,000 startups.
लोकल के प्रति जो क्रेज पैदा हुआ है वो वैसा ही है जब आजादी के आंदोलन के समय स्वदेशी वस्तुओं के लिए पैदा हुआ था। अरसे तक हमने देखा कि लोग ये बताया करते थे कि ये चीज हमने उस देश से खरीदी है, ये चीज उस देश की है, लेकिन आज भारत के लोगों में अपने स्थानीय उत्पादों को लेकर के गर्व की नई अनुभूति है.
Earlier in the day, Prime Minister Modi co-chaired a business roundtable with German Chancellor Olaf Scholz in Berlin. In his remarks, the Prime Minister emphasized on the broad-based reforms carried out by his government. He invited the business leaders to invest in India's youth. The event saw participation of high representatives from the government and selected CEOs from both sides. Discussions were held on topics ranging from climate cooperation, supply chains, research and development. Prime Minister Modi and the German Chancellor also co-chaired the 6th edition of the India-Germany Intergovernmental Consultations, IGC, yesterday. The biennial IGC is a unique dialogue format that also sees participation of several ministers from both sides. This was the Prime Minister's first IGC with Chancellor Scholz and also the first such government-to-government consultations of the new German government, which assumed office in December last year. Prime Minister Modi also held bilateral discussions with Chancellor Scholz. Both leaders reviewed the full range of bilateral ties between India and Germany, including giving an impetus to trade as well as cultural linkages. In the joint press statement following the discussions, Prime Minister Modi said, as democracies, India and Germany share common values. He said, based on these shared values and common interests, India-Germany bilateral relations have made remarkable progress over the years.
भारत और जर्मनी दोनों ही देश इस महत्वपूर्ण पार्टनरशिप को कितनी प्राथमिकता दे रहे हैं. लोकतांत्रिक देशों के तौर पर भारत और जर्मनी कई कॉमन मूल्यों को साझा करते हैं. इन साझा मूल्यों और साझा हितों के आधार पर पिछले कुछ वर्षों में हमारे द्विपक्षीय संबंधों में उल्लेखनीय प्रगति हुई है.
On the Ukraine crisis, Mr. Modi said, India has from the very beginning called for ceasefire as it believes dialogue is the only way forward. He said no party can emerge victorious out of this conflict and therefore India supports peace. He said India is very concerned about the humanitarian impact of this war.
यूक्रेन के संकट के आरंभ से ही हमने तुरंत युद्ध विराम का आह्वान किया और इस बात पर जोर दिया था कि विवाद को सुलझाने के लिए बातचीत ही एकमात्र उपाय है. हमारा मानना है कि इस युद्ध में कोई विजयी पार्टी नहीं होगी, सभी को नुकसान होगा. इसलिए हम शांति के पक्ष में हैं. यूक्रेन संघर्ष से उत्पन्न उथल पुथल के कारण तेल की कीमतें आसमान छू रही हैं. विश्व में खाद्यान्न और फर्टिलाइजर की भी कमी हो रही है. इससे विश्व के हर परिवार पर बोझ पड़ा है, किंतु विकासशील और गरीब देशों पर इसका असर और गंभीर होगा.
Prime Minister Modi and Chancellor Scholz signed the Joint Declaration of Intent JDI establishing the Green and Sustainable Development Partnership. This partnership envisages a whole-of-government approach to India-Germany cooperation on sustainable development goals, SDGs and climate action, under which Germany has agreed to make an advance commitment of 10 billion euros of new and additional development assistance until 2030.
भारत ने ग्लासगो में अपने क्लाइमेट एम्बिशन को बढ़ाकर विश्व को यह दर्शाया है कि हमारे लिए ग्रीन एंड सस्टेनेबल ग्रोथ एक आर्टिकल ऑफ फेथ है. इस नई पार्टनरशिप के तहत जर्मनी ने 2030 तक 10 बिलियन यूरो की अतिरिक्त विकास सहायता से भारत के ग्रीन ग्रोथ प्लान्स को सपोर्ट करने का निर्णय लिया है. इसके लिए मैं जर्मनी और चांसलर शोर्ज को धन्यवाद देता हूं.
India and Germany have also signed joint declaration of intent on Indo-German Hydrogen Task Force. The declaration was signed virtually yesterday between Power and New and Renewable Energy Minister R.K. Singh and German Minister for Economic Affairs and Climate Change Dr. Robert Habeck. After his Germany visit, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will reach Denmark today on the second leg of his visit to 3 European nations. Prime Minister Modi will hold bilateral meeting with Prime Minister of Denmark, Mette Frederiksen, in Copenhagen today. Both leaders will review the progress of the Green Strategic Partnership, which was the first of its kind arrangement between India and Denmark. He will also call on Queen Margaret II. The visit will provide both sides an opportunity to shape new elements of partnership in the field of skill development, shipping, agri-technology and mobility.
Tomorrow, the Prime Minister will participate in the second Indo-Nordic summit being hosted by Denmark. The summit will focus on subjects like post-pandemic economic recovery, climate change, innovation and technology, renewable energy, the evolving global security scenario and Indo-Nordic cooperation in the Arctic region. Nordic countries are important partners for India in sustainability, renewable energy, digitization and innovation. The visit will help in expanding India's multifaceted cooperation with the Nordic region. Our correspondent has filed this report.
This visit will provide India and Denmark an opportunity to review progress as well as examine ways to further expand their multifaceted cooperation. This is Prime Minister Narendra Modi's first visit to Denmark and third summit-level interaction with the Danish Prime Minister. During the course of the day, Prime Minister will attend an India-Denmark business forum and also address members of the Indian diaspora. The discussions will focus on bilateral issues as well as issues of global and regional interest. The bilateral trade in goods and services between India and Denmark has grown by 78% from $2.8 billion in 2016 to $5 billion in 2021. The major export items from India to Denmark are textiles, apparels, vehicles and components, metal goods, iron and steel, footwear and travel goods. With Dipendra Kumar, Suparna Saikya, AIR News, Delhi.
On the last leg of the tour, the Prime Minister will briefly stop over in Paris and meet French President Emmanuel Macron. The visit to France will provide an opportunity to carry forward the high-level engagement between the two countries post the French presidential elections.
President Ramnath Kovind will embark on a 4-day visit to Assam and Mizoram from today. The President will address the 61st annual conference of Bodo Sahitya Sabha at Tumulpur in Assam tomorrow. He will also grace the valedictory function of Northeast Festival at Guwahati, organized by the Ministry of Donor as a part of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. On Thursday, the President will address the 16th convocation of the Mizoram University at Aizawl.
The Election Commission has announced schedule for by-election to 3 assembly constituencies in Odisha, Kerala and Uttarakhand. The by-election to Brajaraj Nagar constituency in Odisha, Trikkakar seat in Kerala and Champawat constituency in Uttarakhand will be held on the 31st of this month. The Election Commission said counting of votes will take place on the 3rd of next month. The Gazette notification for the election will be issued tomorrow and the last date of submission of nomination for these seats is 11th of May.
You're listening to the morning news on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Prime Minister Narendra Modi says whenever world faces a problem, India comes forward with a solution, interacts with Indian community in Berlin. Germany commits 10 billion euros to India to achieve climate action targets by 2030. Prime Minister Modi to reach Denmark today on second leg of visit to 3 European countries to hold bilateral meeting with his Danish counterpart Mette Frederiksen in Copenhagen. President Ramnath Kovind to embark on 4-day visit to Assam and Mizoram from today. Election Commission announces by-election to 3 assembly seats in Orissa, Kerala and Uttarakhand on 31st of May. Eid-ul-Fitr being celebrated across the country today. President, Vice President and Prime Minister extend greetings. In sports, Harshada Sharad Garur scripts history by becoming first Indian to win gold medal at Junior World Weightlifting Championships in Greece. In football, host Kerala beat West Bengal in penalty shootout to lift their 7th Santosh Trophy, and curtains come down on Khelo India University Games this evening in Bengaluru. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle at AIR News Alerts.
कंपटीशन की अगर आप कर रहे हैं तैयारी तो उनके लिए ऑल इंडिया रेडियो पर हम लाए हैं अभ्यास, एक ऐसा कार्यक्रम जिसमें आप पूछेंगे सवाल व्हाट्सएप नंबर 9289094044 पर या फिर ईमेल करेंगे abhyas.airnews@gmail.com पर और हमारे विशेषज्ञ देंगे इसका जवाब। इस बार का विषय है पब्लिक एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन। सवाल भेजने की अंतिम तारीख है 4 मई। आपका अभ्यास हमारा प्रयास।
अपने बिजनेस को बढ़ाने के लिए लीजिए आकाशवाणी का सहयोग और दीजिए उसे बुलंदियों के पंख।
आपका बिजनेस लोकल है या राष्ट्रीय, आकाशवाणी देती है उपभोक्ताओं तक पहुंचने का हर विकल्प।
और अब तो आप घर, दफ्तर या दुकान पर बैठे बैठे कर सकते हैं आकाशवाणी के किसी भी केंद्र के लिए विज्ञापनों की बुकिंग।
आकाशवाणी के विभिन्न चैनलों पर विज्ञापन देना सुलभ और सस्ता।
बुकिंग है तो संपर्क करें 8700014242 पर।
8700014242।
Eid-ul-Fitr is being celebrated with religious fervor and gaiety across the country today. The festival marks the culmination of the fasting month of Ramzan. Prayers are being offered in Eidgahs and grand mosques after a gap of 2 years due to COVID pandemic. In Delhi, main Eid congregations are being held at Jama Masjid, Fatehpuri Masjid and Shahi Eidgah. Elaborate security arrangements have been made on the occasion. In Gulf countries, Eid was celebrated yesterday. The date of Eid-ul-Fitr is determined by the sighting of the crescent moon on the previous night. President Ramnath Kovind, Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu and Prime Minister Narendra Modi have greeted people on the occasion. Along with the rest of the country, Jammu and Kashmir is also celebrating Eid-ul-Fitr today. More from our Srinagar correspondent.
Eid-ul-Fitr festival across Kashmir Valley is being observed with religious fervor and gaiety. The festival marks the culmination of the fasting month of Ramzan by offering the thanksgiving prayers to Almighty God. Meanwhile, Lieutenant Governor Manoj Sinha has greeted the people of Jammu and Kashmir on the occasion of Eid-ul-Fitr festival. In his message of felicitations, he said that the festival of Eid inspires all to work towards building a compassionate, harmonious, peaceful and prosperous society. He expressed hope that the auspicious day strengthens mutual goodwill and instills in us a sense of unity and pride in the syncretic culture of Jammu and Kashmir. Sunil Kohl, AIR News, Srinagar.
In Kerala, Eid-ul-Fitr is being celebrated with traditional fervor and gaiety across the state today. With eased COVID-19 restrictions, people in large numbers are flocking to mosques and Eidgahs to attend special prayers. In Telangana, Eid-ul-Fitr is being celebrated with pomp and gaiety across the state, marking the end of months-long fastings during Ramzan. Elaborate arrangements have been made for special Eid prayers at Eidgahs and mosques. More from our correspondent.
With no restrictions in place this time, elaborate arrangements have been made at Eidgahs and masjids. The state government too has resumed distribution of Ramzan Tofa as it distributes every year to the poor. Eidgahs and masjids have been decked up for the special prayers. The Hyderabad Traffic Police have diverted traffic at many places in connection with the Eid-ul-Fitr prayers in the twin cities of Hyderabad and Secunderabad, especially at Meeralam Eidgah and hockey grounds at Masaptank till 11:30 a.m. today. Lakshmi, AIR News, Hyderabad.
The festival of Akshay Tritiya is being celebrated all over the country today. People believe that the festival brings good luck and success. On this day, people pray to deities to seek blessings and begin ventures to bring good fortune. Many people also buy gold on this day. Parshuram Jayanti is also being celebrated across the country today. Lord Parshuram is the 6th incarnation of Lord Vishnu. In his Mann Ki Baat program on All India Radio last month, Prime Minister Narendra Modi had wished people on the occasion of Akshay Tritiya and Parshuram Jayanti.
3 मई को अक्षय तृतीया और भगवान परशुराम की जयंती भी मनाई जाएगी। कुछ दिन बाद ही वैशाख बुद्ध पूर्णिमा का पर्व भी आएगा। ये सभी त्योहार संयम, पवित्रता, दान और सौहार्द के पर्व हैं। आप सभी को इन पर्वों की शुभकामनाएं। इन पर्वों को खूब उल्लास और सौहार्द के साथ मनाइए।
And now let's listen to our special program, Azadi Ka Safar, highlighting the importance of the day during the freedom struggle.
आजादी का अमृत महोत्सव।
Azadi Ka Safar with AIR News. Birth of a nation. India's glorious freedom struggle is one of the greatest struggles the modern world has ever witnessed. AIR News brings you a glimpse of the struggle every day.
যদি বা কোনো চাবুকের দিনে তোমার মুষ্টি জাগে, যেন তোমার রক্ত মিছিলে নেতাজি পুরো ভাগে, যেন তোমার রক্ত মিছিলে নেতাজি পুরো ভাগে।
On the 3rd of May 1939, Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose declared the formation of the Forward Bloc. It emerged as a faction within the Indian National Congress after Netaji's resignation from the presidency of the Indian National Congress in 1939.
Its constitution and program was adopted on the 22nd of June 1939 at its first All India session in Bombay, now Mumbai. In his presidential address, Subhash Chandra gave the concrete plan of action for winning Purna Swaraj in the immediate future.
After the great escape of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose on the 17th of January 1941, Forward Bloc leaders and workers came under sharp torture and humiliation. A huge number of them were put in jails and confined.
Forward Bloc was declared banned in June 1942. Forward Bloc, even when it was declared illegal, supported the Quit India movement in 1942. On the national level, leaders of the party like Sardul Singh, Sheila Bhadra, H.V. Kamath, R.S. Ruikar, K.N. Joglekar, Mukundalal Sarkar, U. Mutturamalingam Tevan were noteworthy.
After independence, the party re-established itself as an independent political party with the main stronghold in West Bengal.
We commemorate freedom fighter Jwala Prasad, who was executed by the British on the 3rd of May 1860. He belonged to Kanpur, Uttar Pradesh, and took a prominent part in the First War of Indian Independence. He led the army at Kanpur and fought in several engagements against the British forces.
He became the chief lieutenant of Nana Sahib and was also present at Satti Chaura Ghat with Tantia Tope, Azimullah Khan, Bala Sahib and Tikka Singh when the British were leaving Kanpur. He was captured by the British and sentenced to death. He was executed on the gallows of Satti Chaura Ghat, Kanpur on the 3rd of May 1860. We salute this great martyr.
We also remember revolutionary freedom fighter Sushil Chandra Kumar Sen Gupta, who was martyred on the 3rd of May 1915. He was born in December 1892 in Assam and later moved to Kolkata, West Bengal. During the trial of Aurobindo Ghosh in the Alipur bomb case, when a sergeant was caning a group of agitated persons, Sushil hit him and was caned for that. For his being a member of the Maniktala group of revolutionaries, he had been set up in the Alipur bomb case, but was acquitted.
After his release, Sushil Chandra took part in the Baliaghat raid in Kolkata and in the assassination of informer Nirod Haldar in February 1915. On the 3rd of May 1915, he took part in the Khalilpur raid in Nadia, where 2 sub-inspectors and some constables tried to stop them. Sushil Chandra was shot dead by the police in the clash that ensued. We salute the great martyr.
We also remember revolutionary freedom fighter Jagdish Chandra Rai, who was martyred on the 3rd of May 1931. A resident of Dera Ismail Khan, Northwest Frontier Province, he came to Delhi and joined the revolutionary movement. He was killed in an encounter with the police in a bus near Shalimar Bagh, Lahore, on the 3rd of May 1931. We salute the great martyr.
We also remember Indian National Army member Kesari Chand Sharma, who was executed by the British on the 3rd of May 1945. A resident of Delhi, Kesari Chand was captured by the British forces during fighting near Imphal on the Burmese front. He was tried for waging war against the King Emperor in December 1944 and sentenced to death by a court-martial. He was executed in Delhi jail on the 3rd of May 1945. We salute this great son of the soil.
We also remember martyr Bhagat Hemaram, who took part in the Quit India movement and Lathi Pahar agitation. Born at Santhal Parganas in Jharkhand, Bhagat was arrested on the 9th of May 1943 and jailed for 3 years. He died in Rajmahal jail on the 3rd of May 1944. We salute the great son of the soil.
That brings us to the end of this episode of Azadi Ka Safar with AIR News. See you in the next episode tomorrow.
India's COVID vaccination coverage has crossed 189 crore 38 lakh mark. More than 14 lakh vaccine doses were administered yesterday. The Health and Family Welfare Ministry said more than 3 crore 72 lakh vaccine doses have been administered to 12 to 14 years age group so far. Over 2 crore 85 lakh precaution doses have been administered to the identified categories of beneficiaries, including healthcare workers, frontline workers, and people above 18 years of age. In weightlifting, Harshada Sharad Garud scripted history by becoming the first Indian to win a gold medal at the IWF Junior World Championships at Heraklion in Greece yesterday. She lifted 153 kg in the 45 kg weight category, which included 70 kg in snatch and 83 kg in clean and jerk to finish on top of the podium.
In football, hosts Kerala beat West Bengal 5-4 in a penalty shootout at the Pioneer Stadium in Malappuram to win the Santosh Trophy National Tournament for the 7th time. In a thrilling final last evening that kept the 35,000-odd spectators on tenterhooks, both teams ended the 90 minutes action into a goalless draw, following which the match headed into the extra time. The curtains will come down on the second edition of Khelo India University Games in Bengaluru this evening. Union Minister for Home Affairs and Cooperation Amit Shah will be the chief guest at the glittering closing ceremony of the Games. Karnataka Chief Minister Baswaraj Bommai and Union Ministers Prahlad Joshi and Anurag Thakur will be among the dignitaries present at the occasion. The closing ceremony will begin in the evening with cultural programs. Yogasan will be performed by 500 students showcasing the theme of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav.
In IPL cricket, Kolkata Knight Riders defeated Rajasthan Royals by 7 wickets at the Wankhede Stadium in Mumbai last night, chasing the target of 153 runs set by Rajasthan Royals. Kolkata Knight Riders overhauled the target, scoring 158 for 3 in 19.1 overs. Nitish Rana and Rinku Singh played the unbeaten knocks. Nitish with 48 runs, Rinku with 42, and Shreyas Iyer with 34 runs chipped in the useful contribution. Today, Gujarat Titans will take on Punjab Kings at D.Y. Patil Stadium in Navi Mumbai at 7:30 p.m.
And now an overview of today's newspapers. Ukraine war will have no winners. PM at meet with Chancellor Scholz is the headline in the Tribune. No one can be compelled to take COVID jabs, rules the Supreme Court, writes the Asian Age. On this subject, the Times of India headline reads, Right to liberty, can't force anyone to get jab, says Supreme Court. COVID positivity crosses 1% again. No fourth wave soon, says Centre, writes the Pioneer. Hindustan Times reports what it calls chilling statistic amid heat wave. 49.4% of labour force works outdoors. The Hindu quotes the India Meteorological Department as saying that the north may get temporary respite from heat in the next 3 days.
Before we end the bulletin, a reminder of today's question of the Amrit Mahotsav quiz. Bhognadi village in Jharkhand is associated with which famous rebellion against the British? WhatsApp your response on 8826546262. Celebrate 75 years of India's independence by participating in Amrit Mahotsav quiz with AIR News. And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Prime Minister Narendra Modi says whenever world faces a problem, India comes forward with a solution, interacts with Indian community in Berlin. Germany commits 10 billion euros to India to achieve climate action targets by 2030. Prime Minister Modi to reach Denmark today on second leg of visit to 3 European countries to hold bilateral meeting with his Danish counterpart Mette Frederiksen in Copenhagen. President Ramnath Kovind to embark on 4-day visit to Assam and Mizoram from today. Election Commission announces by-election to 3 assembly seats in Odisha, Kerala and Uttarakhand on 31st of May. Eid-ul-Fitr being celebrated across the country today. President, Vice President and Prime Minister extend greetings. In sports, Harshada Sharad Garud scripts history by becoming first Indian to win gold medal at Junior World Weightlifting Championships in Greece. In football, hosts Kerala beat West Bengal in penalty shootout to lift their 7th Santosh Trophy. And curtains come down on Khelo India University Games this evening in Bengaluru. And with that, we end the morning news. Have a nice day.